Self love as the foundation of the life that you love living. That is what we're going to talk about. Hi, my name is Jonna Fatonji. Welcome to another episode of Healing into Femininity. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today we are diving into the topic of love. Love, everybody loves to talk about love. And I believe love is the most misunderstood thing, topic, feeling, concept that there is. So today we're diving into love and especially self love as the foundation of everything in your life. So, and today I want to talk a little bit out of the box and not only alongside the points that I've written down, but also coming from personal experience. We're diving into the concepts. I'm going to give you a few keys on how to create more self love by understanding what love really is, but also a little bit of storytelling. Okay. So, I want to start with yesterday. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and she is a beautiful woman, smart, well traveled, business driven. She has been to very exotic places, always networking, always about that life. And every time she speaks about wanting a relationship, I can feel a brokenness inside of her, a brokenness, a sadness, a feeling of lack, and that her life is not fulfilled without finding the love of her life, aka a man. And this made me dive into this topic of love today because I see this with friends around me, as I said, very successful, beautiful, well-traveled, well-spoken, educated business women. And still everything they're looking for is the love of a man. And I don't believe in that. I actually am at the point in my life through trial and error, through my own experiences, but especially having worked with hundreds of women and having had the privilege of peeking into their lives very intimately in the work that I do as a strategic coach for women. So I've seen relationships of, and I think I've told that story many times. One of my first clients when I ever stepped into this business was a almost 60-year-old woman, like a very beautiful older white woman. She was still beautiful. You could see that she has always been a beautiful woman all her life, even in her old age. She was thin, she was fit, she was blonde, and she was married to this hotel manager. She gave him kids and the best years of her life, literally. And then he decided to leave her for a younger woman. And I think the woman was also his affair during the marriage. And then he left her with almost nothing. And you can tell, like, she was, it's a privileged couple. It was a privileged couple. The guy was a hotel manager. She was this beautiful blonde woman. So they obviously had money and lifestyle and all of that. Yeah. And that made him think, okay, now I'm in my old age. I don't want to be with this woman who gave me or who was my partner all along. Now I'm going to separate from her. The thing is, I am for it. I don't necessarily believe in lifetime partnership anymore, but I do believe in a fair separation. And what I mean by that is that the woman gets what she deserves at the end of the marriage. And that many times has to come with a marriage agreement, right? With a prenup. And yeah, many women still marry out of love and not protecting themselves. And protection is really the word here. As I'm continuing to think about my message and what I want to be known for, is more than anything, more than helping and assisting and teaching women how to create a business and a life they truly love, it is more, even more protecting the life that you already have by being very aware of the system that we live in. And I always like to mention it again. We live in a system made by men, literally men but also mankind, right? It's not divine, it's not nature, but it's made by man, man made. And that is patriarchy, hierarchy thinking, right? It is classism, it is capitalism, and it is racism, right? All of these isms and schisms are man-made power structures. And most women never even really become fully aware of what this system actually is. People always say the matrix, or dabble in conspiracy theories, or understand the oppression to some extent, but I think most women don't really. And if you don't study the power structures that have been put in place by men in order to control people who they consider lesser than, whether it is a woman who has been considered property that you can own for a very long time, or slaves being racist, right? This whole system of racism in a very grand scale. Slavery has always existed, but especially with the slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, it became a even bigger power game in terms of racism and hierarchy, right? I don't want to go too deep into that today, but I think it's very important that we always keep that in mind, that these power structures are at play. And most women just walk around this life frolicking through the high grass, thinking that um, this is life, and at the end there will still be a man who's going to save the day, whether it is helping them feel whole. Because as I started with the story of my friend, I can tell she doesn't feel whole. She doesn't feel whole. She doesn't feel joyful. She doesn't feel worthy. She doesn't feel sexy, really, without a man. Like, she's still waiting for that person to bring her validation, right? So we will dive into that. And as I said, we will dive into what love truly is. And I know that you are love, right? You, especially you as a woman, you you have to become love. And that is a concept, but that's the truth. If we deconstruct all of those systems and we seek love, if we say God is love, God is love, God is nature, and you are nature. And you can, if you free yourself from putting men on a pedestal, putting marriage on a pedestal, putting other people, white people, men, rich people, if you put those people on a pedestal, making you lesser than, and then therefore always coming from a place of lack, not enoughness, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you will continue to create a feeling of, I am lacking. And that's why the whole healing process, right? That is everything that I'm speaking about. Healing into femininity for me means healing those false beliefs of a male God, of a man coming to rescue you, of somebody coming to validate you, bestow blessings upon you. Jesus is coming back, right? Somebody's coming to save the day. No, you are the savior that you're looking for. And that comes from a feeling of, if you want to tie it back into some level of spirituality, the kingdom of God, or the queendom of God, of Goddess, is within you. You are. That is the whole quest of finding God, of finding truth, of finding reality, is to understand that you are peace, bliss, fulfillment, love, abundance, riches. You are the creator of your life experience. And that is the pearl of great price, right? That is what the quest is all about, is to find out that there's nothing outside of you that will make you whole. The quest is the journey within, and finding, again, the kingdom of God inside of you. You must learn to love your aliveness, your own aliveness, your life force, right? You being alive. That's it, right? You being alive. That is what you want to learn to love. Your life, your body, your mind, your heart, your life, your time, your experience, like, and your well-being, like feeling good, feeling safe, feeling whole, unharmed, right? Your body and your mind. That is self-worth, right? Wanting to protect your energy, wanting to protect your own aliveness. That is what it's about. It's simple. It is so simple, but you only arrive at this point after a long journey of deconstructing everything you believe that you need in order to get to some place one day in the future where you are going to feel whole, where you're going to feel worthy. No, you are God. You are goddess. Your awareness of your own self, of your own life, and the awareness of the structure, the system, this whole concept, this whole matrix that we live in, is the awareness of seeing through the illusion and finding that the only blessing in your whole life is you being alive and understanding that. I could talk about that for hours, but I just want to give some more context around it, right? The journey is in living from that aliveness inside of you and finding out what gives you more life. What gives you life? What is it that you love? Coming from a place of understanding, that's why you can't necessarily answer that question being fully ignorant. What gives you more life is literally energy, right? When I think about that, I'm also a nutritionist. So what gives you life is water, right? That gives you life. So mm, you love water. What gives you life? Food, right? Nutrients, micronutrients, things that make your body feel alive, which is organic, right? Organic food, organically sourced, yeah, food supplements, energy, micronutrients, right? All of those things on the lowest level, right? Again, one thing that I always like to refer to is the hierarchy of needs. So the first needs that we have that give us life, right? We can use new words for that, that give us life, is food, good food, right? Then a good environment, beauty, safety, beauty around lights, right? Ambiance, good air, feeling, having a roof over our head. The same thing with the people in our life. Who gives us life? Now, this is more appropriate to the topic, I feel, right? Who gives us life? The people that pour into us. And I want to introduce the topic of money. And I want to introduce the topic of love and money, right? Because again, I'm speaking to women, I'm speaking to highly educated women, I'm speaking to masters and PhDs and influencers and lawyers and every woman who has reached a certain level of success for herself, right? But still feels like life is not lifing. It doesn't feel full. You don't have the love in your life that you desire. And that is not true, right? Because again, it is inside of you. And it is about the people who pour into you. I just made a reel on Instagram, speaking about how, especially again, referring back to the friend story, how one thing that I've realized for a long time in my life, and when I say a long time, I mean like almost 30 years, I've always been a very I've always been a very deep thinker since a very young age. And one thing that I've realized, especially with women, many times they do not appreciate other women. They do not really appreciate women to women friendships because why are you here wasting my time speaking about men? Like I am here, I am your friend, and you are talking to me as if you have nobody in your life that you're happy with. That means you disregard me, you disregard probably other women in your life, your sisters, your mother, other female friendships, because you're still looking for a man. This is how many women operate. They disregard female friendships, female companionships, female allies because they think that the only real thing is the love of a man. And I believe I'm at the point where I believe man can never love you the way a woman can love you. And the more women grow, I think it's either they stay in the pick me in the pick me world, or they become bad bitches or dominatrixes, right? They dominate. It's either you stay a little girl, conditioned, a pick me, or you become a mature woman and you know who you are and you use your energy, your sexuality, your beauty, your power, especially your mental energy. You use it to dominate and to get what you want. As I said, also about letting people pour into you, right? Because love is something that you want to give, but you also want to receive it, especially when it is about give and take, if it's about relationships. And this is why I believe that it's important as a woman to take money from a man for your time, for your energy, and especially for your sex. Yeah, we're going to talk more about that. So I'm introducing that to you. That's the trajectory that we're on. So this is the beginning, right? Really love. You are love. Love is the core of every religion. If it's not used to manipulate people to be a slave to power, right? To the hierarchy, to the pharaoh, to the systems that Jesus wanted to dismantle in the Bible, but nobody really understands it because it continues to perpetuate. And love is the purpose for every psychology. Right? There's one story about Carl Rogers. He was a very famous psychologist, and he taught that there is only one real therapy. Also, by the way, I only partly believe in therapy as a means to an end of creating a life that you love. I definitely think that it can help when you're deeply oppressed and deeply wounded and deeply scarred. Like, how do you call it? Like, have a lot of scars from a horrible life experience. But therapy is also designed to soothe you and to keep you in a loop of dependency of the therapy, because it doesn't equip you with the knowledge, with the mental fortitude, and with the real skills to dominate and win in life, right? It's not only about soothing yourself, but it's learning power, boundaries, right? And the real transformational principles in order to create a life that serves you. So, with that being said, right, but Carl Rogers, said that the only thing that is truly therapeutic is to fill the room with love, right? The only thing that a therapist's job really is to fill the love, fill the room with love, and to let the person open up in that healing space and then come forth, right? And pour themselves out. So the therapist only had one job, and that is to fill the room with love. So the person being therapized, if that's the word, they feel like they can pour themselves out. And that is at a soul level. And this is what we're talking about here. It's about the soul. It's about the essence of who you are, your spirit, your soul, right? The energy of your aliveness. Your soul wants to learn to express love and to experience love, right? That is deeply and truly our purpose. That's what I believe, is to rid ourselves from suffering. And we can only rid ourselves from suffering if we decondition our mind and not continue to believe what love is, right? Again, because love is not found in a man, especially as a woman, right? Love is not found in a man. You find love within you. And this is not just some sweet thing about self love, even though it is about self love. This work, I've realized, is the hardest work, and most people don't do it. Most people don't do it. They think that they're doing the real inner work, the real transformational work. They invest money in themselves, but the real work especially as a woman, especially as a woman of color, I believe, is to dig so deep to decondition yourself from patriarchal thinking, from racist thinking, that you feel that you are the source of love. You are the source of love. I'm going to repeat myself over and over again. So there is nothing outside of you that will give you the love that you desire. And once you fill yourself up with this self love, this will harness, or this will bring forth self love, but also self worth, standards, boundaries, protection. As I said, for me, this work that I'm doing now is really to educate women and to make it more about protection, because literally, if you do not love yourself, if you do not value yourself, if you don't put a price on your energy, your time, your sex, your emotional care, your intellectual property, if you don't put value on it, you are going to be sucked dry. You're going to be exploited and discarded, and you are going to suffer. You're going to suffer in this life, and maybe you're even going to be you're going to be harmed, and you're going to be killed. And I'm not speaking that over your life, but this is what happens every day. And especially we as women, I don't know where you're uh, tuning in from, but I believe that probably most of the women that I'm speaking to, if you have the time to listen to this, you have a phone, you have access to the internet, and you have some time. So that already makes you some kind of privileged, right? So you have to use that in order to put yourself on game and to learn how to navigate this life and learn how to win, especially protect yourself, because women are dying all over the world, being killed, being raped, being assaulted, being discarded, being heartbroken, all of that, like from the smallest thing to the biggest thing on the scale. And that is because most women do not do the real work to see themselves as the source of love. You are not looking for a man. Don't look for a man for love, because there is no love there. I believe that there is no love there. Men come to take. Men come to take, so you have to take from them if you want to engage in them. I believe that I will have to speak more about that, and I wasn't really aware of that. But I definitely got hurt by men, definitely. But I never got so hurt that I thought that, oh my God, I believe that every woman is suffering from that. But the more I grow, the more mature I become, the more I see that literally men are the number one sabotage for a woman's true well being, joy, success, right? So you have to develop yourself into becoming a bad bitch, into becoming a dominatrix, into becoming the master and the creatrix of your life. Okay. So, and the next thing I want to dive into is to really assess, right? There was a study. It's a little bit like this five love languages, but it's a little different. There was another research done with 20,000 people from all different backgrounds and age groups and ethnicities and cultures. And the question was posed to them, how do you feel loved? Right? So, how do you feel loved? And as we explore what it is that these people revealed about how they felt loved, I would like you to take a look at yourself, right? How do you feel loved? And what are the things that you can actually pinpoint? Because again, most women say, oh, they want the validation from a man. Why? Number one, why? And number two, what is it ever that you got from a man that makes you feel that this is going to satisfy you? If it's not sex, right? If we can talk about love and sex and it's two different things, let's do that. But let's talk about love today, because I believe number one, most women are addicted to male validation. And then number two, most women are addicted to dick, and that is sabotaging them. So, the first thing that most people said that what they think is love, true love. And I, at this point, I really believe that this is probably more women took part in this research, because that's what women do. I believe that most men don't even they don't take part in these discussion as much. But that's just an assumption from my side. So then the first thing that people said what they need in order to feel loved is being listened to, right? Being listened to. The answer most frequently given was that when someone listens to me really powerfully, like really listening, listening deeply, this is when they feel loved, right? Listening is where connection takes place. And also here again, when did somebody listen to you? Who was that person? Was it a woman or was it a man? With the pure intention of purely really listening to you because they cared about you. Most of us don't even know how to really listen. Most people are always defensive and they don't dare to just listen and to take it. But many of us, we just reply, right? We just put it back and we listen to answer instead of listening to just listen. Right. So we need to seek understanding without getting anything from the other person. Like we want to listen and then that's it. First, that's how people feel loved. It's just an act of love, right? It's not a conversation, it's being listened to. And that's how people feel loved. The second thing, how people feel loved, is praise and acknowledgement. This is where I say this is the validation thing, right? How how do you feel loved? Most people, or again, I'm taking you as an example or women as an example. I believe that many women can be run over and exploited when they get compliments, right? Many women, that's also a known fact that women fall for words. Women fall for words. If a man is articulate, that's why poets, rappers, artists, right, that know how to speak. I have been in sales for the majority of my career. I'm 37 now, so I've had some sales experience. What I've realized, and I am a speaker too, right? But what I realize is that, especially for men, sales and dating is the same. People use their words, manipulation, flipping words, turning words, leaving things out, um, using extravagant gestures or fake emotions, all of that just to make a point, to make the sale. And the same thing is in relationship. So you have to also learn how to speak and understand that just people using words is far from the truth. But again, I have been there too. I'm not just blaming or whatever. I am telling you this because in order to create a life you love living, you have to understand what real love is, right? Most women fall for praise and acknowledgement, compliments, men telling you that you're sexy, that you're the only one, that you're the exception, and so on and so forth. Words mean nothing. This is how most people get manipulated. As I said, in business and sales, but also in dating. It applies to every aspect of life. And because most people, men and women, are starved of validation, are starved of somebody telling them something nice. You're beautiful, you're amazing, just giving people attention. Most people are isolated and feel alone and are just struggling in life, right? So if you tell somebody a compliment, right, and I'm really putting my focus here on manipulation because I think we need to understand that most people are starved of validation, compliments, and a feeling of you're special, right? That's why I always like to say you have to give it to yourself. Self-love is the foundation of creating the love of your life and the life that you love living, right? Praise and acknowledgement, people love to hear it. So, knowing that, first, give it to yourself, and you can use that also genuinely with the people that you truly love, but also as a manipulation tactic, to be honest, right? You can use that. I'm not suggesting it, but you have to learn how people function. The third thing is loving touch. We need touch. So I'm giving you a real life example. I'm single and I have been single for 5 years now. And I have definitely dated and I have fell into the traps of my own wishful thinking. And one thing that has really tripped me up was that I felt like my body was starving from touch. So now, knowing that, I know that I need to touch, like really, I need to touch people. And that's important to me, whether it is playing with kids, like my cousin's children, non-sexual touch, right? But also like just having a big hug by friends and family, especially people, women, especially women. Yeah. So it's important for you to understand that you need touch, right? But if you starve yourself from all kinds of touch, you're more likely to fall victim to somebody who just wants to touch you to get into you, right? To sleep with you, to fuck you, to take advantage of you, and then use you and discard you, because we all need touch. So find a way how you can get touched in a friendly way by hopefully other women or family members or kids, right? Not in a sexual way at all, but just knowing I'm a sensual being, I'm a human, and I need to be touched. It's very important. I hope that really came across the way I intended it. Yeah, no, not in a sexual way. The fourth thing is being supported in our goals and dreams. Again, most people are starved of any kind of support or any kind of attention. So, how you can show love or have love shown to you is to be supported in your goals and your dreams. And again, it's about knowing that about yourself, but also knowing that about basic human psychology. Because if somebody knows that and you don't know it, someone else is going to take advantage of you by pretending, just pretending that they believe in you. Yeah, that they want to support you, that they want to help you. That is important. If it's going to be real, that's going to be good. That will be amazing. If somebody really wants to help you, let them show it to you in action, not just in words, right? Being supported in our goals and dreams is something that people fall for. Another example I'm going to make, because again, I'm not speaking from a lack of experience here. It's not just theory. I This is all scientific, but it's also, I can tell from my own personal experience. So I have been in network marketing, and I made a Substack post about that. How the people in sales, again, because network marketing is all about sales, is all about human psychology, is about understanding human vulnerability, and that most people are starved for real, first of all, purpose, direction, but also attention and community. And all of those things are given, provided by, or pretended to be provided by a network marketing community. And one of the things that your first mentor or upline will do, of course, which is also sales psychology 101, is to ask you what your goals and dreams are. This is fine. Like again, it is what it is. It's not necessarily bad, but it's important for you to know it in order to not get exploited. Because if you have never been asked that question by your family, or you haven't been supported by your family in your goals and dreams, and nobody really cared about your own goals and dreams, then when one person comes along and asks you, whether it is a salesperson, a coach, a network marketing professional, or a man who just tries to get in your pants, and they pretend that they're actually really interested in you, you will fall victim to it. Yes. Yes. So again, it's about understanding human psychology and yourself, and how other people use that understanding to get what it is that they want, because they understand how humans work. And most people in sales and network marketing, and just men who care to become master manipulators, know that most people are starved of attention. So they will come in with that bait, pretending that they care. Number 5 is receiving loving, constructive feedback. Honestly, like that is what this research came out with, but I don't know if that's true. I think this is really only for high level personalities already, professionals, people who understand that they're not perfect, people who understand that they they want feedback, because it's truly something that not every random person on the street will give you, but there needs to be a real safe container. But because most people, they run away from feedback. And most people don't listen. Most people don't listen to feedback. Most people run away from feedback. Most people are afraid to actually hear anything about themselves. They don't want to know that they make mistakes. They will rather hide and put their head in the sand instead of listening to feedback, let alone ask for feedback, right? So again, it's about understanding human psychology. Somebody who's growth oriented, and also a person who's growth oriented, is most likely also a person who is power seeking. Everybody is speaking about that growth mindset. I'm all for growth, and I seek power, personal power, right? Understanding and how I can win in this game of life. Most people who want to really grow means they want to confront, because if you think receiving feedback is good, you're somebody who understands that in order to become the best version of yourself, you need to confront some flaws about yourself, because the feedback is can be positive, hopefully, right? Which could also be linked again to praise and acknowledgement, which is also a feedback. But constructive feedback comes more with a taste of constructive, right? It's more on the side of, let me tell you that this can be done better. So it can also be seen as criticism, and most people are afraid to be criticized. That's why they never do something. That's why they don't come online. That's why they don't want to be seen, because they are afraid to be criticized. It wounds their ego too much. But if you're somebody who likes to grow and gain power and privilege in this game of life, in this game of capitalism, racism, patriarchy, in this game of dating, in this game of business, you will have to want to learn, right? You will have to want to learn in order to get better. Right. So I believe that number 5 is really for an evolved personality. When you are beyond the hurdle of, oh, it's enough, like I've suffered enough. Now you're ready to hear, because before that you're immature and you think you know everything better, and then you will never listen to anybody. So receiving loving and constructive feedback, you will start appreciating real constructive feedback, because you know only when you receive that feedback you can actually grow and learn. I think that's a very good one. And number 6 is keeping agreements. People feel loved when agreements are kept. I think that's a big one. Also, slowly introducing more talking about the relationship between highly successful women and the workforce, being in the workforce, being in corporate, having your own business, but also dealing with men, because it comes from the same root, is women feel loved when agreements are kept. So, really check if, first of all, you are making agreements. Are you negotiating agreements? Are you talking to people about what it is that you need in order to enter the agreement? And what are your standards? What are your non negotiables? What are your standards? What do you need in order to enter an agreement? Whether it is money, it is a salary, it is a price on your products, on your services, or it's a price on you. Taking yourself, being yourself, like being taken out on a date, talking to somebody, giving away your time and your energy. What is the agreement here? And have you put up an agreement? Because there only when an agreement is negotiated or put up, like established, only then can it be violated. So if you never establish an agreement, there is no violation. So first you have to set the agreement, and then both parties have to say, yes, we agree to do it, and then it has to be upheld, right? So again, what are your non-negotiables? What are you agreeing on in terms of relationships? And then do you check people if they don't keep the agreement? Yeah, very important. These are the 6 steps. So what people need in order to feel loved is number 1, being listened to. Number 2, praise and acknowledgement. Number 3, loving touch. Number 4, being supported in goals and dreams. Number 5, receiving loving, constructive feedback. And number 6, keeping agreements. I think that's wonderful. That's how you understand human psychology. That's how people feel loved. That's how you feel loved. Number 1, use it for yourself. Use it for you understanding yourself. This is not saying, oh, no, that's not how I operate. That is how most people operate. But maybe other people who are like psychopath and narcissist who operate on a little bit more of control. But even they work with those parameters, within those parameters, right? Being listened to, praise and acknowledgement, loving touch, being supported in your goals and dreams, receiving loving and constructive feedback, and keeping agreements. So understand yourself and understand others, and then use it. You can use it for yourself and you can use it for others. You can use it for yourself and you can use it for others. Very, very important. So what I want to say to conclude all of that is, again, if you are an accomplished woman, you are in your, hopefully, or maybe you are in your 20s, or you are in your 30s, or you are in your 40s, and you still hope and feel a void inside of you because there is no man in your life giving you those things, you are losing out. You are still conditioned. You are still, you're still conditioned by lack. And lack is needing a man, maybe needing a white man, right? Needing a rich man, needing any kind of man to validate that you are lovable. You are lovable. You are the source of love. The kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of life, heaven. Heaven is inside of you. The gates to heaven are your pussy. That is literally it. The gates to heaven is your pussy. And this is exactly how men think. That's why I know that men made up the religions and all of the lingo around it. But because the gates to heaven are your pussy. This is the gates to heaven. Men love pussy. That's how heaven feels to them. So if you as a woman still think that because a man doesn't love you the way you think you deserve to be loved, that you are lacking. You got it all wrong. You got it all wrong because you have to go within. You have to do the inner work. You have to do the deconditioning, decolonizing, deconstructing in order to find that your life, you being alive, is the most precious thing. That is the love you are seeking. Falling in love with yourself because you are the goddess. You are the goddess. You are the temple. You are the source. You are everything you're looking for. And other women are too. So if you want love, please open your eyes and really see that other women are probably already giving you the kind of love that you deserve. And if you can't accept that, probably you have a mother wound or you're still very unhealed because you can't accept love from a woman that is actually the true love that we're looking for, real love from a woman. And I'm very grateful that I had and still have a loving mother. So I know how that feels, loving, nurturing, having somebody want the best for you. That's how I know that this is really a privilege. I have had a loving mother, not perfect, but she really did her best, and we still have a loving relationship. But many women, I think they never had that, and that's no shame, no condemnation. But that's why you think you've never experienced love from a mother. That's why you think you've been brainwashed that the love that you're seeking will come from a man. No, it will come from you. And then, if you are lucky enough to open your eyes and then to see that there are women around you, maybe women, healed women, mothers, that they can share the love that you're actually looking for, they can share that love with you. Again, I think it's an insult when women are looking for love from a man only. I think you haven't understood life. But that's it, right? And we can see, again, it's important for you to understand that there is a scientific component to it. People are basically the same, right? We all want attention. We want to be listened to. We want to be seen and heard. We want to be praised and acknowledged. We want to be touched because it's very important. We're sensual beings. We need touch, just like animals, just like apes, right? And we want to be supported in our goals and dreams because it's like growing. It's growing. We want support in becoming the best version of ourselves. And if you are on a next level, if you're already on a mature level, you will be ready to receive loving, constructive feedback because you've understood that only through feedback you can learn. And I'm here to give you feedback. I'm here to give you constructive feedback. So it's not, you can take it or leave it. Also with anything, you can always take it or leave it. And many people just decide to just leave it and then they never grow, they never learn. And it's about keeping agreements. Again, I think this one is very important. So if people are not keeping agreements, ask yourself if that's really love. Because if you keep agreements, that is building relationship, that is building love, that is building trust. And love has to be built with another person and also with yourself. Self-love doesn't just come from you waking up one morning and then all of a sudden loving yourself. It could be, but most of the time it is built through acting, right? Thinking, feeling, and acting from a place of love for yourself. So I want to end it here today, but there's going to be more. This is another series on love, but I'm going to speak more about that because I really believe, just like many other women, I believe that it is very important that you have this one down, because if you don't really love yourself, if you don't really value yourself, and you keep on working with the on the relationship with yourself, you will always look for something outside of you, and most likely it's going to be a white rich old man, which is the depiction of God, that patriarchy and racism. You are going to look for that in order to validate yourself, and you are going to lose your life time, potential moments with yourself, with other women, but also mastering this game of life and playing. Because if once you free yourself from the spell of romantic love, you're free to do whatever you want on this planet. So I think it literally is about your life. So it's about life and death. And if you don't act on it, you're gonna go down. But I don't want to speak that over you, but just really let me be serious. Really, it's serious because this could make or break you. So if you're the kind of woman who actually really wants to create the life you truly desire, you love yourself and you love what it is that you do, what you bring to this world, you accept yourself, you respect yourself, and you know that you have a lot to bring to other people's lives, and therefore be richly compensated, and therefore enjoy every pleasures of this life. if you want to be her, if you want to know how to win this game of life, see the description box down below. Get into my community, work with me one-on-one, apply for the next cohort of life mastery to really learn how to get to the next level in your life, in every area of your life. So I'm looking forward to see you in the community, in the program, and definitely in the next video. Until then, take charge.